One of the most curious stories in the entirety of the Metamorphoses comes right in the heart of Book 10. We're still in Orpheus's song, and he is segueing from his discussion of the Propoetes, but then he hits Pygmalion. Pygmalion is a character whom Orpheus presents as having witnessed all of the discussion of the Propoetes and these women who are just scandalous. And remember, Orpheus is discussing women of blameworthy passions, and as the corollary to his other theme of young boys who are pursued by gods. So there is automatically a rather misogynistic tint to everything that is displayed here. But Pygmalion decide right then that he will have no female companion. Inspired by the tale of mistrustful or distrustful women, he decides no female companion, and that's significant. Well, okay, he is going to redirect his sex drive in a somewhat artificial way, and go somewhere else with it. Of course, the obvious choice is here, well, he says, well, I will have no female companion. Well, what does that leave? But the story actually presents yet another option for him. He is an artist, and he creates a sculpture, apparently a quite good one, very lifelike. And it is that lifelikeness that sways him. It is said to be, he gave it a figure better than any living woman. Well, here you can see a little bit of a critique of the naturalness, the mimetic quality of art, where it is supposed to be as close to life as possible, a representation of life that plays with the artificiality of it and tries to tear down the artificiality so that you can take it as much more natural. That this is not just something that is false, but it is something that is a representation of the real. And it's seeking to play a little fast and loose with the distinctions between the two. You would have thought it alive, so like a real maiden that only its natural modesty kept it from moving. Art concealed artfulness. Art concealed artfulness. Art is false. But more art makes it seem less so. Art concealed the artfulness. Just think about all the folds going on in there. Art is not real, so let's add more art to try and make it seem real. And sooner or later, you're going to start to fool people, and Pygmalion is probably one of those. But he becomes infatuated with this statue. He becomes somewhat lascivious towards it. And he starts fondling it. Now, significantly, again, this is all inspired by a arguably quite misogynistic urge. And here you have the image of a human man who is fondling a statue because he is disgusted by women. Well, he's doing all of these rather lewd things to the statue, rubbing his hands all over it. And, well, the statue can't say no. The statue can't say no, keep your hands to yourself. You can do whatever you want to a statue behind closed doors, quite frankly. And Pygmalion is availing himself of that freedom. The statue also, of course, cannot respond as a normal woman would, either not necessarily with the no, but some might say yes, some might be reciprocating, and some might be warm, for God's sake. And these are all things that he is not getting because of this unnatural lust that he has engendered by falsely, artificially redirecting his sexual urges. He gives it kisses and they are returned. He imagines that little tag at the end of the line. He imagines. It lets you like, ooh, they're returned. Oh, okay. He imagines. Ovid himself in the poetry is toying with you because you're sort of drawn into this. Well, what is this perv doing, and what's he getting out of it? And oh, she's kissing back. Oh, okay, yeah. No, okay, all right. Ooh, no, he's teasing you. Ovid is teasing you. Orpheus is teasing you. All of the layers of this story are teasing you to try and get a little bit of a rise out of you. But it is the story, it is the art that is doing this. It is the artificiality of it that is being manipulated to engender this response. The art is appearing real and causing very real effects on the audience, the reader. Now he addresses and now he caresses it, feeling his fingers sink into its warm, pliant flesh, and fears he will leave blue bruises all over its body. Is his finger really sinking in? I don't think so. Fingers don't sink into marble or stone or whatever he carved her out of. Probably rather hard. He dresses it up. Role playing, a little fantasy, cosplay, if you will. All of this, of course, is him playing, or Ovid playing, with the fact that the artist even can't tell the difference at this point. The artist is caught up in the fantasy. The artist is caught in the illusion. He believes at this point that his fingers are sinking into the flesh, but it's not flesh, it is stone. But he is there now. The mimetic trap has brought him in. He can no longer tell the difference. Most people would consider this insane. He lays her down on the bed with bright purple cover and calls her his bedmate and slips a few soft downy pillows under her head as though she were able to feel them. Notice throughout this passage how often we're given this subjunctive mood, as though it were happening. It seems this way. All of these possibilities, hinting at something else but staying within the real, hinting at an ideal but only trying to, by very subtle rhetorical means, suggest over there and seem to be saying something is real over there, but really you're staying very grounded. He is crossing his I's and dotting his T's, so to speak. And he comes up and he offers a prayer to Venus on an occasion of a holiday celebrating her. He offers a prayer to Venus. If you in heaven are able to give us whatever we ask for, then I would like as my wife, dash, and not daring to say, my ivory maiden, said, one like my statue, like. So there again, you get that simile. That insistence on the representation or the blurring of the line between the representation and the reality. The ideal at that point is becoming dislodged from the reality. The ideal is becoming somehow more real than reality, and so you're left with this fluctuating relationship between art and reality and the representational determinancy. Art that is dislodged from reality, who's to say? If you break that connection between art and reality, then anyone can see this however they like. And there is a kind of interpretive agency that kicks in. Venus herself, in the story, exercises that. She steps in to fill in the blanks. Since golden Venus was present there at her altar, she knew what he wanted to ask for, and as a good omen, 3 times the flames soared and leapt right up to the heavens. She interpreted his words, including in all of the blanks. She stepped in and filled in the blanks. And so she responded with a sign of her own. She responded with a representation of her own, which is this omen of flames soaring up, which human beings would be able to see and, well, read. Reading an omen. Just like in Homer, where they're always looking at birds and saying, that means that, we're going to win the battle. This is very conspicuous, the way he's doing this. Every line seems to be pointing at this connection between art and artfulness, between reality and fantasy, and showing the porous nature of it. Once home, he went straight to the replica of his sweetheart, threw himself down on the couch, and repeatedly kissed her. She seemed to grow warm, and so he repeated the action, kissing her lips and exciting her breast with both hands. Aroused, the ivory softened and, losing its stiffness, yielded, submitting to his caresses as wax softens when it is warmed by the sun and handled by fingers, takes on many forms, and by being used becomes useful. Amazed, he rejoiced, then doubts when he fears he's mistaken, while again and again he touches on what he has prayed for. She is alive, and her veins leap under his fingers. That is her metamorphosis. That is perhaps his metamorphosis, because we're really not given a lot of detail about how she is actually alive now. We are told that the ivory softened, but he's the only one there, and he is sitting there rubbing it again with a lot of focus on hands and fingers. You see hands and fingers throughout this little passage, throughout this story, and it's a sense of, I would say, the artist again, the homo faber, man the maker. The artist is one who makes things, fabreux. But here, the fingers are fashioning fantasy, and they're lost in the fantasy. He is determining that she is alive by the way she feels, by the probing of his fingers. And in fact, he feels a pulse, or he feels the veins leap under his fingers. He feels her pulse through his fingers. But can we trust that? Can we believe in that? Is that objective? He is the only one in this room right now. There is no objective evidence of her speaking. There's no objective evidence of her doing something, only of a response to his touch. How much can you believe that if it is all art? Well, that last graph in the in this section, you can believe that Pygmalion offered the goddess his thanks, and a torrent of speech, once again kissing those lips that were not untrue. That she felt his kisses, and timidly blushing, she opened her eyes in the sunlight, and at the same time first looked on her lover and heaven. There she has action. There she has some agency within this. She's still not speaking, but we're told you can believe. That's predicate for everything. You have to believe. You have to believe in the action. You have to believe in the art, in the illusion. And just remember, this is all couched in a couple layers of illusion now, because, well, this is Orpheus singing the song of Pygmalion. Again, we don't necessarily have any witnesses here. Well, it's myth. You don't really rely on a lot of first-person accounts of these things. but it is definitely a narration from the Song of Orpheus, which is within the poem of Ovid. How many more layers do you need before you start to doubt that you're getting anything accurate here, anything truthful, anything real? It's uncertain. It is undetermined. And I like how Pygmalion responds with a torrent of speech. Not that we're given it. We're not given that mimetic quality. We're just told that he has a torrent of speech. A lot of words come out. A lot of words like those that make up a poem that just hammers down how artificial this all is.